And a happy Friday to you. Chief Meteorologist Tim Buckley with you here as we go into the weekend. It's going to be warm. We have so much to talk about because there's so many changes coming our way as we go through Saturday and Sunday. It'll feel like spring. As we go into next week, it's going to feel like winter. That's what we got here with our weather impact alert going into early next week. I really do see temperatures dropping basically from the 70s to the 20s. So when you do something like that, it's a pretty big change, and it really should change your behavior. So we want you to know about it. That's why we got it covered for you. As far as next week goes, Monday, Tuesday, the wind's whipping in here, the cold air too, and we'll have freezing temperatures come Tuesday morning. I'll tell you what, it wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world if we get a couple of snowflakes out of this in parts of the foothills, maybe the Triad as well, but that would be just fleeting and something to notice. Monday evening. That would be the time frame for that. But it's cold. That's where we're going heading into next week, and I'd expect temperatures to be something like this at their coldest coming up on next Tuesday. So that's kind of where we're headed. How do we get there? What's going on right now? Let's make sure we cover you over the next couple of days too. So we'll start you out here with Friday. This is where we stand right now. Temperatures are pretty warm, actually in the 60s. We also have a little bit of humidity to go along with this as well. The main weather maker right now is a line of showers and storms a little bit to our west. So we're tracking this in Tennessee and Kentucky, some showers and storms out that way that actually are packing quite a bit of a punch right now. So there's a lot going on off to our west. In places like Nashville, they just got through a bit of a thunderstorm. There's some other ones headed up into East Tennessee as well. So that's what they're dealing with. You'll notice this is moving pretty quickly. And so as we track this a little closer overnight tonight, we're going to have the opportunity to get our hands in on some of that rainfall. So here's what our model has to say about it. Nothing that would affect high school football games or anything like that for this evening. But getting closer to that midnight time frame, that's when we'll start to watch things a little bit more going out to the west. So take a look. This is around 11:30. And then closing in on 1 and 2 a.m., that's when that rain starts to move our way. Now notice how warm it is too. Even in the middle of the night tonight, we'll still be in the upper 50s to around 60 degrees. So we have some warmth to go along with this rainfall. Early tomorrow morning, the rain is pretty much winding down. So by 6 to 7 a.m., we're pretty much drying out. We should have a nice dry Saturday on tap for us. So morning rain while we're sleeping, nothing wrong with that. We can sure use it. And then we'll get our hands in on some warmer weather for the rest of the day. Really should be warm, mid 70s. Not out of reach here. 73, 74 degrees can't be ruled out. So a pretty good Saturday across your Piedmont Triad area. The rain chance should not affect your outdoor plans. So here's kind of how I have us for your Saturday. 50s for the morning, 70s for the afternoon, lots of sun to go around. And that's just the first half of the weekend. As far as Sunday goes, we'll see more warm weather as well. There's at least a chance on Sunday of a shower or two. So let's kind of take you through that. Here's Saturday. This is the middle of the day on Saturday now. As we go through the rest of Saturday afternoon, it's still dry, but by Saturday night, we could see a couple of showers trying to form a little bit in those overnight hours. So can't rule out a passing shower Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon. At that point, once we get to dinner time on Sunday, that's the cold front. You know how we can tell just by looking at this? We have the winds on here. Notice the winds changing from southwest to northwest. When you get that wind change, that's the signal that the cold front is moving through our area. And that'll be a windy part of the weekend as well. So I think the winds will start to whip up on Sunday, gusting over 30 miles per hour at times. That's a big deal. So it'll be a windy day but warm on Sunday, and then that colder air really starts to move in. We've talked about this already for several days, but that huge dip in the jet stream, what that does, kind of the way that this works, if we trace it all out, you can actually trace it up way up into the Arctic. So you have a big connection to Arctic air coming in across the poles and across Canada and into the south. So it's moving into the Carolinas early next week. But just as soon as it arrives, it goes away. We'll go back to some pretty average temperatures toward the end of next week. And next weekend actually could even be pretty warm. So back to the winter, the 2-day winter as we're calling it, Monday and Tuesday. The biggest impacts to us will be cold air, freezing temperatures on Tuesday morning that you'll want to adjust to. Make sure the house is ready to go. Turn off the faucets outside and make sure that the hose is not connected. Sometimes you can have freezing happening with that. and you don't want to deal with that mess. And otherwise, just make sure you're bundled up and the heat is ready to go, because some of you might be stubborn enough. We were talking to Brad Panovich a couple days ago on this show, and he said he hasn't turned his heat on yet. If that's you, go ahead and test it. Make sure it's working before you get into next week. Our temperatures should be in those upper 20s. That's the air temperature for early next week. But when you consider the wind and the wind chill factor, it's going to feel even colder than that. So Tuesday morning should be about the worst that it gets around here, feeling like the low 20s. So that's your wind chill for early Tuesday. Just be ready. Now, as far as the intrigue when it comes to snowfall, I certainly think the North Carolina mountains are in good position to get some snow, but I'm still pretty skeptical about anybody else getting a good chance. So this would be Monday, and this is the model that's been the most aggressive when it comes to snowfall. We call this a northwest flow snow. When you have the winds coming out of the northwest, they rise up into the mountains, and then they come down on the other side. The rising part is encouraging upward motion, and it encourages clouds and precipitation to form. In this case, snow, because it's cold enough. Now, for us, on our side of things, usually that air goes down, and so you're drying it up, and it's not a good pattern for us to get snow. However, this model, and a couple of others, does still give us at least a hope and a prayer at a few snow showers Monday night into Tuesday morning. I don't really buy it. I think we could maybe see some sprinkles or some snowflakes, but I wouldn't expect any snow accumulation, not around here. Our in-house model doesn't go out quite that far just yet. It is expecting good snows in those North Carolina mountains, but for us, again, I think we're mostly spectators to this one. If you wanted to drive up there, I'd caution you just to make sure you know what you're getting into. It's going to be brutally cold, and it'll be very, very windy. I mean, the highest peaks up there, Beech Mountain, Sugar Mountain, these areas, Roan Mountain, Grandfather, they're going to be cold enough to have, very, very high winds and, temperatures basically in the teens. So you want to be prepared for that. Back here at home, showers overnight tonight. A couple of them could have a downpour or two. That's mostly in the early morning hours. But tomorrow, beautiful. Lots of sun to go around. We'll be in the low 70s. It's the warm one, and Sunday's warm too. But after that, here comes the chill. It's a 2-day winter for us. Monday and Tuesday, both cold, both windy, and at least a small chance of a sprinkle or a flurry Monday afternoon and evening. We'll keep an eye on that for you, but it's really not a good snow pattern for us here in the Triad, even though it is for those in the North Carolina mountains. So that's your forecast. Thanks for being here with us for Weather Impact. We hope you have a great weekend across the Triad.